Hey everyone, welcome in to another daily editorial here on the KE Report. I'm getting an update from Aztec Minerals, reaching out to Simon Dyakowski, the president and CEO of Aztec, to answer some of your questions more simply involved with recent share price action. The company is currently drilling at the Tombstone Project in southern Arizona. But over the last few trading days, the last really week, maybe a little bit more than that, the share price has been moving higher. There hasn't been much news coming out of the company. So that's why I wanted to bring Simon on to discuss some of those share price moves and some of the news we can look forward to. Aztec is traded on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol AZT and on the OTCQB under the symbol AZZTF. Now, Simon, take us through some of these share price movements. Maybe bring up a chart for us and explain to us, if you can, where some of this interest is coming from into the shares.
Yeah, happy to, Corey. Thanks for the opportunity to come on the show. Yeah, it's been a great few weeks for us. I mean, obviously, the share price, if you look at it on a short-term basis, looks like it's had a big move, which it has, coming off of the lows that we saw in July and August. Really, this is coinciding with a renewed interest in the junior exploration sector, and I would characterize Aztec as probably being a bit of a laggard. You've seen some of the bigger companies have moves a little bit more immediately, starting really in September. It was the second week of September, really during the Beaver Creek conference midway through, when the gold and silver price started to break out, and you saw a corresponding move in the precious metal equities. And now that's starting to flow down to the juniors. Obviously, there were some that moved earlier. We're moving today. But if we look a little bit further out, I mean, even at 6 months, we're forming a nice base pattern here. We financed with a free trading unit back in the summer in July. So I think that kept our share price a little bit depressed. There was, potentially a little bit of warrant clipping going on. I mean, there were some investors do that. It's part of the game for some people to harvest the warrant. I mean, obviously, I don't encourage anybody to do that, but I'm not a licensed investment advisor. I'm simply here running the company. But we did have that as a factor in July, August. Probably kept a bit of a lid on the stock, and then in September we started our drill program, and that's when the share price, started to move. And now it's moved over the last few weeks as the drill program has got underway. And again, it looks like a big move, but if we pull the chart here out to 2 years, really where it takes us back to is back to the early parts of last year, of 2023, January, February, and March, when we started to drill at Tombstone. And then in late April and May, we were reporting our results, and we had a good rally in our share price then. So we're back to that level today as we're speaking, of the sort of the range that it was in during our last drill program. And beyond that, we've had a good response to our drilling in the past, but there's always been really something that's kept a lid on the share price chart. So this is why I was really happy that you invited me on today, just to provide maybe investors in the market just a little bit of context for those that aren't as deeply involved in this story as I am, just as to how the shares have moved with the previous rounds of drilling. We have two excellent assets, and obviously we've discussed them many times, why we're excited to advance them. But there's been some market structural things that have sort of held back the share price with our last few drill campaigns, and typically they've been either a 4-month hold from a previous financing coming off, which has drawn out some selling and keeping of the warrant. And then we've also had a couple of large shareholders that have been forced to unwind large positions historically. And then there's always been this problem of having a successful drill program, getting the results out, and then the market determining that the company would be financing again soon. And so those three factors have kept, I think, a lid on our share price that have, in my opinion, not being a licensed investment advisor, I believe, kept us very undervalued. And for those structural reasons in the market. And so today, when we're chatting here in October of 24, with a good market backdrop, we don't have those overhangs anymore. So we don't have a 4-month hold looming from our last financing because we ripped the band-aid off in July and issued a free trading unit to the criticism of some and others not so much, but we did make that decision because we felt that with how far we've taken the two projects now, Tombstone in particular, in terms of our targeting and our game plan for advancing them, we just thought, let's just do it properly. Let's drill the model that we've spent years developing and have had already good drill results on. Let's do it properly. Let's fund it now, and let's give us a little bit of flexibility so that if we do see what we're hoping to see in the results, that we can keep drilling, expand the project, and not have to pause to go back to the market, which creates an overhang. Nobody, it kills the momentum. So I think that's the biggest thing this time around. We don't have that. We have ample treasury to keep going and expand if we want to. And then we don't have the 4-month hold. And then in terms of the selling pressure, again, we don't have the 4-month hold selling pressure, but we don't have any large blocks overhanging us. And so the last block that really stymied our momentum was back at this spike here in May of 2023. This is when we drilled 5 feet of 111-ounce silver at Tombstone, or for those of us in Canada, 1.52 meters of 3.4 kilo silver. And that resulted in a big lift in our share price, and unfortunately was met with some selling by a shareholder that wasn't a fundamental shareholder. It was just another junior that needed to fund their own company in a bad market. So that kind of killed the momentum of the good drilling. We also drilled 36 meters of 5 grams gold equivalent in that program. Reported that after, didn't have much of a response, and then got caught in the summer in a bit of a finance overhang, which created a little bit of a big decline in our share price, until we were able to refinance this year, in the 18-cent range. So those factors aren't at play this time around. We also had a tough time with the drilling last year. We were drilling core, and the core drilling in the Bisbee sediments where Tombstone is located is really tough. And even the RC drilling in that rock environment is tough. And so again, another reason for us to rip the band-aid off, raise a little bit more this summer. And we brought in a machine that is what we thought would be more than capable of successfully drilling through this really, really tough rock that's fractured and faulted, and a conglomerate of siltstone and sandstone and backfill from the pit. Really tough drilling conditions for the best drillers, but we are really pleased to report that the drillers are excellent. The machine is very powerful, and we have been making great progress in the first few holes of this program, and we don't anticipate having issues like we have had historically with holes that had to be reoriented because of tough conditions, or cut short, or caved early, or things like that.
So, Simon, to that share chart again, as you mentioned, no maybe significant shareholders that would need to liquidate positions. Any warrant overhang levels that we should be aware of?
Well, we should be aware of, there's a warrant that was issued in March for 3 years, so it still has 2.5 years of life on it. It's at 22.5 cents, but I don't anticipate that being a huge overhang here because it's got so much life left to it. And then most recently, there was a 25-cent warrant issued as part of the last financing. And so that has about 1.75 years left. So there's no imminent expiry of in the money warrants, which would otherwise, I think, create an overhang. So I'm not foreseeing any major blockage in the market from warrants, but there are a couple series that are slightly in the money at this point.
Okay. So then the drilling is progressing. It sounds like as it should. Any insights on when we will get some results from that program?
Well, we don't have any exact schedule yet. There have been several hundred samples delivered to the lab as of this week, and we would anticipate getting those back, in November sometime would be ideal. Our lab historically that we use has been very quick to give us results. But of course, complications can happen at any moment, and it really depends on sometimes on how much extra analysis needs to be done on the samples. So, not to get into too many what if or hypothetical scenarios. We do expect to have some results in November for sure. And right now, the drillers are on break, and they'll be back at it next week. So drilling continues, and initial holes have been shipped to the lab. So we're really getting into a very potentially exciting phase of the current exploration of Tombstone.
Okay. Simon, thanks for the update. Not much more for us to touch on here. I did just want to reach out to you on the back of some of my listeners' requests, asking for updates on the share price moves and the drill program. So, as we get some more news on the drill program, I'll follow up with you again. Everyone, please keep on emailing me your questions, fleck@kereport.com. And Simon, thanks again for your time. We'll chat again soon.
Thanks very much for having me on. Have a great afternoon.